Hey. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the McGruder Files, episode 8. I am your host, Philip P. Mac McGruder. And today we got a heavy one for the Chiefs fans out there. Joining me as my guest tonight and returning back, he's also the co-host for this episode. He's also the co-host of the Redshirt Podcast, part of the family at Kingdom Cast here. My guy, Tre, also known as That Way 816 on X. Tre, man, thanks for coming on, man. How you holding up after what happened last Sunday and what we just witnessed there, bro?
Number one, appreciate you having me on. It's not too. I'm holding better than probably most. That way because of the fact that I kind of game plan myself anyway, of understanding that it was going to be this time where we're going to get eliminated. So after the Texans game, which I was actually at the Texans game. Once we lost that one, me and other people, being other people that I went to the game with, we kind of just said, hey. We can't just have it depend on the Chargers. We didn't really feel confident in that game, and we just had to relock and retool, and it showed on Sunday. So,
yeah, man. Hey, facts. For those who somehow missed it, man, Tre was there, man. The Chiefs are back to back defending AFC champions. Got eliminated from the playoffs on Sunday in a 16-13 heartbreak to the Chargers. And to make it worse, our leader, the MVP, Patrick Mahomes, goes down late in the fourth with what turns out to be a torn ACL in his left knee, season ending, possibly impacting maybe next year. But, hey, we saw some reports, Tre, that he just got a successful surgery while in Dallas. And as diehard fans, but also journalists of the NFL, bro, especially for the Kansas City Chiefs, walk us through what you saw from that moment when you was there, bro, when it happened to Mahomes.
I was actually there for the Texans game, but I can have that understanding.
Oh,
Watching,
my bad.
yeah, you're good. But I mean, even nevertheless, whether you're on the field or whether you're watching from the TV, it's about the same the entire time. You watching your quarterback go up against number one. I didn't really feel confident. No disrespect to the other players, but I said this during the post game. It's a tough It's a tough day when you're going up against an inferior and physical defense like the Chargers are.
Yeah.
And you're rocking with guys that Mahomes isn't too comfortable with, i.e., you got Isapole playing left tackle. You didn't have you had Mike Caliendo playing right guard, and then you not only didn't have Jawan Taylor, you lost Jalen Moore in the process of the game. So now you're down to Chu Godric, who has literally never played a snap this season.
No.
So that kind of right there, as soon as that injury went down, they said he was out. I said, yeah, we're pretty much over with. And it just kind of seeing how the game was going. People can say whatever they got to say. Tony Jefferson has always been that kind of physical guy. He's always been that kind of physical veteran corner or a safety. And I mean, just kind of from then on, once you saw him really trying to take out Rashid and trying to take out Taekwon, it just you could kind of see what the writing on the wall is. It didn't really make sense. I kind of had a feeling. I was like, look, if they can't really do anything running the ball or establishing some type of run offense, you probably are going to have to go ahead and say you're going to cut your ties, cut your losses, and go ahead and take the L. And unfortunately, again, it cost us a chance with Patrick Mahomes losing him to a torn MCL, LCL, and MCL or ACL.
Yeah, man. But, hey, all I know is he's tough. And that was real talk, as you mentioned that, man. He's tough, and I believe that there's a chance. And we'll talk about it, expand on that later on in the show. But yeah, to be honest, I felt like we were done after the Cowboys game, man. That one on Thanksgiving was just the one that really got me.
Yeah.
Especially that decision by Andy there with trusting the defense instead of putting the ball in Mahomes' hands when he's played the best game is that season for him. And then last Sunday, he was the only basically Chiefs player that scored a touchdown in that game. Man. It was just crazy. So that's what happened. So the streak was 10, but go ahead. You had something to say?
Oh no, I agree. I mean, it's just kind of been the last few weeks. It's been a really, really. It hasn't been the Chiefs football brand of what we're used to. I think the number one thing about it is we preach balance when it comes to an offense, and when it gets to a point to where you're so pass happy that opposing defenses don't really adjust to taking the chance of even thinking that we're going to run the ball, that becomes an issue. So I definitely agree. I think that people could have been checked out for the last, especially they could have been checked out for the Dallas game, kind of like what you said, or maybe even the Houston Texas game, the one like I said I went to, and the one last week. So I mean, the last few weeks, this is definitely giving my opposing fans a chance to really, really get a chance to get an understanding of it's over. So
yeah, and here's the thing, man. Like now, this loss officially eliminates us. Andy Reid post game said it didn't look good. So, what do you think this means for this offseason? Kelsey retiring, big changes. What you think, man?
I think the number one is it really kind of it puts Andy and it puts Clark and it puts Brett into this real conversation of are we okay with is it time to potentially make a change in certain positions, i.e. scheme wise, i.e. personnel, i.e. coaching staff. Because I mean the thing about it is Andy deserves some blame. I think a lot of people deserve some blame. For the most part, Brad has tried to do the best that he has tried, the best that he can to not only generate some type of team or some type of formidable team, but it's also on Andy and the coaching staff for implementing the right formations and the right game plan. The only time that me and I'm pretty sure everybody on Kingdom Cast and everybody in the media network itself, we all agree that offense does not run efficiently when they're in shotgun. When you're in the gun, you can't really do much there. You're kind of giving dead giveaway. And we've said multiple times that, hey, if you're really wanting to do well, you're going to have to go under center more frequently. And
they didn't do it.
They don't do it.
They don't do it. Yeah.
They didn't do it. They don't do it. The one time that we saw something like that was honestly against the Colts, where you had to run the ball. And that's kind of where that the writing is on the wall, not only just for the running backs in Kareem and Pacheco, but is the writing on the wall of you can't throw the ball 30 to 40 times a game and have no rushing offense and expect your team to do the same level of dominance as it has between them. Teams are going to adjust and they're going to take away opportunities, and you're going to have to make adjustments and make game plan decisions on the fly. And we have not seen that from this coaching staff in the last few years.
No, we haven't, man. And especially since Nagy took over when Bieniemy left, and it's just you just know it's a different spike, especially in the performance and the efficiency with Mahomes, how he performed with Bieniemy. Because I did notice one little quality. It's always one little thing. Just like you remember the little Giants where they said, these guys might beat me, that locker room speech in halftime where they talked about, out 99 out of only one time. So it was just that one time when Eric Bieniemy, and what's that one time thing? He held those guys accountable. Like when you look at Matt Nagy, he's like the dad. He's like Baloo the bear from the Jungle Book. And, he's like, it's okay, kid. It's going to be good. You'll get a next time, champ. Eric, like if it was Noah Gray, right? Mm-hmm. I remember going to camp about 4.5 years ago. It was Noah Gray's first camp as a rookie and Nick Bolton and those guys. I remember like it was yesterday. They were doing the 7-on-7 drill.
Mm.
And Mahomes threw towards Noah's direction. Noah stopped running his route.
Mm.
Nick Bolton and him still were rookies. They were still trying to get adjusted to the speed of it. Nick still knew to make a play on the ball. He still came and intercepted, right?
Mm.
And next thing you know, I always used to reenact this every time I would go back to work, especially shout out to my people at the Self-Advocate Coalition of Kansas, self-advocacy organization, nonprofit, because I have autism and I'm a self-advocate, basically disability rights activist and everything. So
for sure.
I used to tell this every time in the office because it shocked me still to this day, man. Eric Bieniemy, when Noah started running his route and Bolton got the interception, he had his clipboard and then he slammed it down. You better pick this shit up, Noah. You better pick this shit up. You better pick this shit up. You even had the parents like, oh my gosh, even holding their kids' ears because Eric Bieniemy was cussing. And like it was crazy. And I was like, okay. But you now seeing that then to where we are now, I'm like, you know what? That's the one little key right there that we were missing from these last few years.
Mm-hmm.
We just got by going back to back that year against the Niners, but that's all we were doing. And I was tired of always like we had the defense, but it's like, why can't we have a year where we have a defense and offense, man?
Right.
And we just keep going all year. But also the coaching staff has just been just shit, man. So anyway, we're going to get on to segment 1, man, and just recap the game real quick and everything like this, bro. So hold on, sorry.
All right.
Yeah. So anyway, last Sunday afternoon was, as people might call it, one of the darkest days in modern Chiefs history. Freezing cold, wind chills in the teens. Chiefs Kingdom watched it all crumble. A 16-13 loss to the LA Chargers. Can't believe we lost to them twice this year. Going first Brazil, now this one last Sunday, especially how it ended. Not only ended our season, but eliminated us from postseason contention for the first time since 2014. And the gut punch, yes, we just talked about it. Mahomes, our 3-time Super Bowl MVP, goes down late with a torn ACL, MCL in his left knee. Season over for 15. So play-by-play by certain moments right here. The Chiefs came out firing, opening drive, marched right down the field. Mahomes scrambles for 12-yard touchdown run. Boom, 7-0. We added a couple of field goals, which has been the theme with us being in the red zone, and we always never capitalize on touchdowns, but just settle for field goals. Build a 13-3 lead late in the first half. Felt good, right? Defense gets a huge pick from rookie pass rusher Ashton Gelati deep in Chargers territory. We drive inside the 10, but settle for another field goal, still up by 10. Then the final minute of the half, we're driving again, get to the Chargers 29, but an incomplete on third down, kick the field goal. That's how we settle for that 13-3. Seems solid, but 33 seconds left. Herbert and the Chargers march 60-plus yards in a blink touchdown with 5 seconds left to a wide receiver that we don't know about. Smith Lambert, I don't know if that was his name or something like that, but I don't know. I have to look it up.
Yeah, Lambert Smith.
Yeah, man. So anyway, man, then it goes to 13-10. And I thought the defense was doing well when we had them at just 3. But that moment happened, man. We give up those big plays in those moments, man. So then the swing ignited LA. They scored 13 unanswered points in the second half, including their only touchdown of the day and a 49-yarder to take the lead late in the third. We managed 1 first down in the third quarter. Offense stalled. early fourth, Mahomes puts together a nice 9-play, 49-yard drive to the Charger 17. But then there was the pick. He forces one into traffic, intercepted. The best chance there in that moment to win this game was gone there. And then fast forward to the end, trailing 16-13 under 2 minutes. Mahomes leading a potential game-winning drive, gets us across midfield, and then on a throwaway, Deshaun Hand twists him down, knees buckle. Mahomes grabs it down in pain, and towel over the head. Here comes Minshew mania, Gardner Minshew. He comes into the cold, moves us to the Chargers 34, and I still thought we had a chance to win this game, even with Gardner. Inside field goal range, but then he throws the pick to Darwin James with 20 seconds left. Ball game. And Andy Reid post-game, all in all, we came up short on both sides, of the ball and on special teams. We had a few mistakes, and that ends up costing you against a good football team. Oh, shit. Damn. Keep knocking my headphones off. Dang, man. Shoot, man. It's just frustrating, man. This is why I didn't do a show last week, man, because it's like the frustration with this damn team, man. It's like, damn it, y'all ain't doing shit. So this all fits the 2025 script, man. 7 one-score losses now, bro. 7. They sound like my college football alma mater. KU. That's what was the story about us last season. When we had Jalen Daniels and we had Devin Neal. It's like, you got to be kidding me. And when I saw that, and I was like, you got to be shitting me. And then 5 by a field goal or less. 5 by a field goal. Too many errors. Not enough execution. On top of Mahomes, we lose Jalen Moore to the knee, as you mentioned, and Tyquan Thornton, he's out Sunday because he's still in concussion protocol. And the Chiefs fall to 6-8. Playoffs are gone. Next up, Tennessee. I don't know anybody really serious about that game, but the focus shifts to the offseason already. So what are your thoughts on all that we witnessed as we're 6-8? This is the first time since 2014 that we're not in the playoffs, man.
Give me 1 second. It's something that is very frustrating. Compared to last year. Compared to last year, we were doing so well when it came to one-score possessions, and honestly, in totality, it's always been the same thing. It's you never want to set when you have an opportunity to go take advantage of a turnover. You want an opportunity to take advantage of a short field. You need to take care of it with 7. It's always been the same thing over and over and over again. It's been a continuous thing over and over again where we continuously settle and we honestly bail out other teams. Are these teams necessarily better than us? Talent-wise, no. Schematically, yes. And that's mainly because of the fact that, again, it goes back to you not establishing balance. You're not getting any type of thing. Your play calls do not open anything up. You're running zone routes for man beaters. You're trying to run zone routes against man. You're trying to run man routes against zone. It's not working out. You need to be able to adjust, and you need to be able to make certain things happen. Because if you don't do that, you're bailing the defenses out. Because watching it, are the Chargers better than us? No. I mean, you had a couple plays. There were a couple plays that really did make the difference at the end of the first half, as you mentioned. There was that kind of whole thing of, hey, you're rolling out, you're doing this, that, and the third, and you're trying to make a play. And I don't remember. I think it was – who was it? I think it was either Keenan Allen or it was some other receiver for the Chargers. He did not have that. He didn't have possession of it. Of course, the referees called it a catch, whatever. You have to have that bend, don't break type of defense. But you had bad positioning. You let an open hole. Justin Herbert's he always is able to move over to his left. He's one of those quarterbacks that's right-handed, but he still operates from his left side. He is able to deliver a touchdown pass, rightfully so. when you're having these type of opportunities, like as you mentioned with the Ashton Jalati interception, as soon as Ashton gets you that ball back and you're inside the 20 and you're 1st and 10, your first idea is how am I able to not only implement my guys open, but also make things happen to where we can open things up, not only just for Trav, but also for Rashid, also for Xavier Worthy. I think that a lot of people, this kind of goes on, this is going to go on Nagy and this is going to go on Andy, because of the fact of the matter is that you're going to have to be able to have an efficient run game. If your run game is not good, your pass game is not going to be any better. That's just kind of how it is.
Yeah.
For the most part, I mean, this is just kind of the whole thing over and over and over again. For where you saw it from at the beginning of the year against the Chargers to the times that you've seen it against the Jaguars where you had a lead and you straight up blew it, to all the times where you had games in hand. Like on Sunday, we didn't have to go for the touchdown, but because of the fact that the unfortunate part of what happens with Mahomes, then you're bringing in Gardner Minshew, and Gardner Minshew's trying to be Minshew Mania and trying to save the whole day. You were down by 3 and you were already in field goal position. If I was them, I would have just continued to run the ball. Continue to run the ball. All you have to do is, if you continue to run the ball, you're bleeding clock, you're setting things up for overtime, and you're still putting the games in the hand of your defense, because both teams do get the opportunity to have the ball, no matter who scores first.
Right.
So you're gonna have to take that chance. Unfortunately, that's kind of what happened, and from then on, is for there she wrote. But I mean, it's been the consistent nagging issue of a team is not talent wise better than you. It's just when you are really setting yourselves up with a defense that has little to no pass rush, to where you have to rush 5 on a 4-3 defense, it gets to a point to where you're gonna have to make some adjustments. So it's just all you hope and pray that they do that. But as of right now, there's no dice and we're eliminated.
Yeah, man. Well, it is what it is. So now let's talk about why that is, and especially everything as you just explained there, man. And why did this season fall apart so completely? And importantly, what happens next? I mean, because heads have to roll. And that's right, Chiefs Kingdom. I mean, not for the sake of scapegoating. I mean, this ain't no back to the left, JFK, Oliver Stone-ish, but because this is a performance-based business. Look, I'm not the type to scream fire everybody, right? But just to feel better. These are real people, coaches with families, with mortgages, kids in school, throwing someone under the bus to satisfy angry fans is weak. It's dumb. I mean, but at the same time, the on-field product in 2025 has been unacceptable, atrocious for a franchise that has been to 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. 7 one-score losses, red zone failures, drops, penalties, special teams disasters, a 6-8 record. Patrick Mahomes, our generational talent, now facing a 9 to 12 month rehab. This just can't shrug off as bad luck. Like, just shrug it off. And now we could tickle your tonsils. No, I'm not talking fire anybody. So don't go with none of that shit. I mean, look, it's like what Nate Taylor said. Shout out to Nate Taylor. He said it, I think, a few weeks ago. And he's not going to be the type of guy that's going to be aggressive and going to fire you and go like, oh, and all that. No, he's a trusting guy. But if you blow that trust, that's it. Look at Le'Veon Bell, for example. So, I mean, Big Red and Brett Veach should absolutely be part of the solution moving forward. And I still think Brett Veach is still one of the best GMs in the NFL, in my personal opinion, even though there was some hit and misses, where some fans might say that. There's a lot of fans who said fire him, which also don't make no sense either. Like, oh, shut up, people. But, I mean, look, we're all human, though. We all have our own opinions. But sometimes I think some people who are not in the field like where me and you work, they should keep certain thoughts to themselves. And, I mean, it's okay if you especially want to still be opinionated. I mean, like, yeah, do that, but whatever, though, man. So anyway, they've earned that, equity. Reed is a Hall of Fame coach who's brought us 3 Lombardis, right, bro? Brett Veach built those rosters. They get the chance to fix this. The offensive line that's been patchwork all year. The receiver room that can't catch, they still got to work on those things. The pass rush that's disappeared, but fixing it might mean having some very hard conversations with long-term members of this organization. And shout out to our guy D-Mac of Tell the Truth Podcast, and also who runs his own sports podcast thing, DMW Sports. Check him out. He mentioned this one. First, special teams coordinator, Dave Tobe. Uncle Dave, he's been here forever. I mean, he's a big part of our early success. Nobody forgets how elite his units were in the past. But this year, just some very bad moments. Harrison Butker, in that moment against Jacksonville, I feel like when he kicked that ball out of bounds, which set them in good field position on Monday night, I think that was one of those crucial moments where we go back and say, yep, that was one of those moments there. And the fact that Dave Tobe should have just told him, kick it deep, so we would have an opportunity to win this game. And we didn't do that. That never happened. And then there was also a lot of other moments, especially where we could have had field goals, especially if we were going to take the lead in moments. And I don't know if it was the Houston game, if it was one of those games where Butker missed, especially going into halftime. And it's those moments there, especially also Jack Cochran and Joshua Williams penalties, just unacceptable. So block punts, well, not block punts, but really missed field goals, but blocking the backs from Jack Cochran and also bad decisions from Joshua Williams. Kick coverage blown up at times. Returns going nowhere, especially recently with Remigio, who gave us a spark last year, especially against the Bills in the AFC Championship game. And special teams cost us in these moments. It's just a fact. And then there's offensive coordinator, Matt Nagy. Again, respect for what he's done in the past. But this offense has shown zero situational awareness all season. Red zone turnovers, killer drops, pre-snap penalties, inability to adjust when the run game stalls, or not using the run game when the pass game is stalled.
Yep.
Well-coached offenses don't lead the league in these categories. The lack of detail, the lack of discipline, that falls on the offensive coordinator in this moment. When your quarterback is scrambling for his life, is still putting up numbers, but the unit around him keeps shooting itself in the foot, that's on coaching. And also those players who didn't execute in those moments. This isn't about loyalty anymore. It's about results. Big Red and Brett Veach need to look in the mirror, yes, but they also need to make tough calls. Keep the core that's proven they can win at the highest level, but clean house where the performance has fallen off a cliff. Mahomes will be back, stronger, hungrier, attacking rehab like he has done everything else. But he deserves better than what this team has given him in 2025. The front office knows it. Fans know it. Changes are coming, Kingdom. Not because we need a sacrificial lamb, but because winning at this level demands accountability. And so, what's your thoughts about now when Mahomes now going to be sidelined for at least the first 9 months? What do you think the quarterback situation, what do you think might happen going forward?
I think there's a real consideration that you're going to bring in a guy who's very familiar with a Andy Reid type of system or Andy Reid type of scheme. I.e., I wouldn't be opposed to bringing back Gardner Minshew back on a contract deal, knowing the fact that he's the most recent one to know about the system. Uh, Maybe even try and go out and try and find a guy like Winston, a guy who loves to throw the ball out, who loves to air it out, and a guy who you can tell, like even though he's in the ball with type of accuracy. You just want to be able to at this point. You don't need somebody who's a multi-year issue. You want somebody who's being able to implement the offense, keep it somewhat afloat. Because I mean, like if things go as what is perceived as, which is Mahomes has already started rehab. He's been going for about a few days now. Uh, you're kind of in that spot now to where you're like, okay, we're now at that point to where we feel like we have a formidable team that can keep that. We got a quarterback that can keep us afloat. And if Patrick is 100% and everything is going right, he can come in, continue to build up this offense even more and keep this team afloat. Then maybe that's the case. But it's just kind of dependent on how this process goes. I think that we got a lot of this evaluate. This is going to be the last 3 weeks are going to be more of an evaluation of who should stay and who should go. And it kind of gives you an idea of what we're expecting from Gardner Minshew. I think then from here on, there's just a lot of like this is the questionnaire of the season. You're eliminated from the playoffs. It is what it is, whether you like it or not. You're eliminated. Now it's time for you to go ahead and get this assessment going of who should honestly be a part of this team in 2026, who should be a part of this team from going here on out, and does what is the foreshadowing of the Chiefs free agency really start with. Uh, but I mean, like, yeah, this isn't the. I don't think that this is the way that any Chief fan really wants to have this react to. But I mean, at this point, it is what it is. This is the game of football. You're gonna have to make adjustments. Unfortunately, this is like I don't wish this. If you told me this at the beginning of the season, this is the way that my team is gonna have to potentially have an eye opener. Then I said this is the last way I want us to have an eye opener. I don't want it to get to a point to where we have to lose somebody of importance to a long-term injury because just so we can understand and say, dang, we cannot do this anymore. This is not it. I mean, I don't want to lose my quarterback for an ACL and an LCL injury. I don't want to be able to take a chance and seeing that my wide receiver one and an upcoming wide receiver that could potentially spend a little bit more time in my franchise are both out with a concussion. I mean, it's just gotten to that point. But I mean, here as we look at it, as we look out from the outside, this is now this has to be the eye opener for Andy Reid, for Brett Veach, for Clark Hunt, for everybody around. Now that's going to make you have to understand: are we okay with it? Are we going to guarantee that this staff is going to be competent to where this situation does not happen again? If you even think if there's any one slight bit of consideration that the answer is no, then you go lean on that no and you go make changes. I appreciate you, Matt Nagy. I appreciate you, whoever else, Connor Embry, Dave Tobe, whoever the case, Dave Merritt. I don't know who in the world it may be. I don't want to lose Coach Merritt because I think Coach Merritt is great. I think he's done a phenomenal job. Coach Tobe, I mean, I'm sorry. I can't. We continuously shoot ourselves in the foot. As a Chiefs fan and as somebody who obviously watches football, the last thing that you don't ever want to do is you don't want to have a big possession or a big return or a big type of play, a field changer or even a scoring change. You don't want to have that type of situation to where you have a big return and it gets called back on illegal block in the back or holding because of the fact that this is kind of where it is now. You see teams like Seattle. Seattle was down 30 to 14. One of their biggest ways of coming back last night was because of the fact that they leaned on the special teams and their special teams were able to do their due diligence and block their certain gaps and still be able to stay disciplined. You mentioned the whole thing with Bucker against the Jags. Harrison Butker should not have kicked that ball out of bounds. Somehow, some way he did. We didn't really know why, but he did. Now you got him. Now you're flipping the field. Every inch and every yard matters. This is just how the lay of the land goes. You're like, when people say they got to play well against the Chiefs, you got to play well against your opponent, because your opponent is going to give you your best shot each and every week. So from here on out, now it's going to have to really take a chance of where you have to understand, where is this team located at now? Where is this team at, not only talent-wise, but where is this team's demeanor? Where is the drive? Where is the hunger? If that hunger and that drive and that disparity ain't there, then something needs to change.
Absolutely. Well said, good sir. And we'll come back and revisit that in the future about Minshew on a prove-it deal. He has to prove it in these last games, and that's just a fact on that there. So this keeps the Chiefs competitive in 2026 when playoff contention, hopefully by Mahomes' return. But let's just see how everything plays out without, mortgaging the future. But we've rebuilt before, and this is just a pit stop, as we will say. So now as we go on to the next segment of the show, going to my players of that game against the Chargers, but it's slim pickings on one side of the ball. With offense, even when he left in agony with the injury, the offensive player of the game for me has to be Mahomes. No debate. He was literally the only one doing anything out there. He finished up with 189 yards passing, no touchdown passes, one bad interception, that pick that was intended for Kareem, when you try to lob it up to Kareem. And you know what? I feel like going into my inner D-Mac, especially going off on like these stupid ass decisions that Matt Nagy has done, like the one against Denver. Why the fuck would you put Kareem out like a wide receiver and have Rashee Rice in the backfield like a running back? Why the fuck would you decide to run that play when we were in the position to score? I know Henley was waiting for that play. He was waiting. He just jumped up and took it. Looked similar almost to like the Leo Chenal one against Lamar earlier on the season. It was ugly. But Mahomes also gave us the Chiefs' only touchdown of the day, that 12-yard scramble on the opening drive where he made 3 Chargers players miss and dove into the end zone. It's classic 15 for you, bro. Just like similar to like what he did against the Titans in the AFC Championship years ago. The rest of the offense, embarrassing. The run game, 21 carries for 49 yards total. Pacheco was our cowbell. He led the team with 11 carries, but for 21 yards. That's less than 2 yards a pop. The offensive line got dominated, plain and simple. The receiving group, Kelsey showed up like the veteran he is, 7 catches, 70 yards, fought for everyone. Rashee Rice had 7 grabs for 51 yards. But let's keep it real, Kingdom. Ever since he came back, especially the last few games, especially the Dallas one, and then there was the moment with Houston with Petrie knocking him hard. Oh, man, I just hope there's not the Antonio Brown effect, just like with that Vontaze Burfict moment. I hope that's not the same thing with Rice, but it's been brutal for him. The 6-game suspension to start the year, for one. And since he's been back, he's struggled to create separation off the line. Hands have turned to stone recently, drops at the worst times when we need it the most. He's had so much promise coming off last few years before he got hurt and then went through that entire situation. But right now, a lot of that potential is feel unrealized. But I know he'll get there. He's still wide receiver 1 in our scheme. And he's just going to have to just stay consistent. I think this is going to be one of those games this last Sunday. And then also that one against Dallas, it will motivate him to do better. So then There's Worthy. You know, he did what he had to do, but can't win contested catches, disappear. And this is the thing about Worthy, man. He's been electric before, but I also don't put this on him, but I put this on the coaches and how they used him. We didn't use him this year like we used him last season, and that's just embarrassing, man. And you look at the defense, for me, I don't know, man. I got to go with Ashton Gelati because he had that interception, but also he had 3 tackles, half a sack, tackle for loss, quarterback hit, and that huge play picking off Herbert in the second quarter. They gave us prime field position. We unfortunately wasted, but Gelati made his presence felt all day. Yeah, Charles Omenihu, he finished with 1.5 to 2 sacks. Good to see, but he should have been playing like that every week this entire season. Going into 2026 with George Karlaftis and Dana already in the mix, I think the Chiefs may feel real comfortable sliding Gelati into that 4-man pass rush rotation on obvious passing downs alongside CJ, assuming he's back next season. And Gelati might even have taken Udike Uzama's snaps moving forward. And bright spot in the dark year. And that's my players of the game. So what's your thoughts on that? And then who's your players of the game, offense and defense? Or if you don't have them, it's all cool.
No, I can't say that it was entirely bad. I would definitely say that my guy of the game has got to be Jackson Gelati. I think that his upbringing, especially during these last few weeks, he's been one of the few bright spots a part of this offense. It's kind of been the same thing here and there, and I think that when you kind of look at it, this whole entire thing has just kind of it really hasn't gone too well. Chris was able. I think that if there's any guy that was potentially some type of person that could have been a big help, I think Chris, he might have been up there, and I would definitely say try for another one. But for the most part, I mean, this whole entire thing has been the same thing where you have to lean on 15 to do something. You're going to have to lean on guys to do an extra than what they're already supposed to do. And you're kind of putting yourself in that position to where you're causing so much and you're not doing enough. And this is kind of where it goes into it, which is you can't try and put too much. Quarterback can't try and do it all. You can't just have him be a passer and a rusher. That's the issue with us. We always don't do well whenever Mahomes is the leading rusher. That's when you think about it, like Mahomes can't he's a dual threat, but you don't want him to be a runner.
No.
It gets to a point to where you're gonna have to really think of it as an offense of saying where do you go from there. But I think that my guys of the game has got to be, I mean, outside of 15, of course, I would definitely say Ashton Gelati for 1. I would say Trav 2. And honestly, I mean, Nick Bolton, I'm always going to give flowers to my guy, Nick Bolton, because of the fact that a lot of people don't really value what he is. Yeah. And Nick continuously does what he's supposed to do each and every time.
Yeah, man. And he reminds me of like Navarro Bowman from the 49ers when he was teammates with Patrick Willis and them back in the day. And that's the type of guy that he is, especially if you look at his measurements, especially the same 40 times and same height and weight and everything. They're very comparable players. And, you know, when you're a certain type of player, that's why I do like certain scouting reports and make a comparison, just like Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice, he reminded me of Devontae Adams when he came out of SMU. Coming out of SMU, because Devontae Adams played at Fresno State, and similar type of player like Devontae Adams, second-round pick, Rashee Rice, second-round pick, and they're both similar size, but the difference between the two is Rashee is faster than Devontae Adams off the line of scrimmage, but Devontae Adams is still considered one of the route kings of the NFL, but he wasn't that type of guy there coming out of Fresno State. So that is what I see out of Rashee, and he'll get there eventually, but I'm not sweating it too much.
Yeah. I think this has just not been the season for us. I mean, this has kind of been the awakening of not everybody is untouchable. Everybody has a chance of being of going from the top to immediately. I'm not gonna say hit rock bottom because it's not like we went 2-14 all over again, but uh, it's just been that whole kind of thing. You have to be able to learn some humility, and you have to learn that when football evolves, football has gone so much from being a run heavy game to now it's so pass heavy. It's ridiculous. Uh, and as time goes on, you're going to have to adapt. Coaches and players are going to have to adapt. We're going to have to run a little bit more jet motion. You're going to have to be moving things across the line. But you can't be under shotgun when you're doing it because nobody's gonna really pay attention to that. You're the one thing about it, the most deceiving thing that can end up costing you your games from a defensive standpoint is your eyes, whether it be the eyes of misconception or the thought of somebody being able to extend plays, and DBs end up peeking into the backfield and wide receivers get behind them. The art of deception as well as the art of being able to freeze a defense is what makes an offense such a great offense. Because the thing about it is when you're able to do delayed handoffs, whenever you are able to do that art of misconception, you're able to either move linebackers away. You're able to freeze linebackers just like how you're able to freeze DBs. The only thing you're not able to freeze is probably D linemen. You're going to have to learn how to adjust to that and being able to learn that if you have at least 3 seconds in the pocket, you have to be able to produce off of that. Uh, and I mean, that's just kind of the word. That's the lay of the land now. When you become so pass heavy that you dismantle and you go away from the run, you're making things a lot easier on the defense. But when you have balance and when you have consistency on the offensive side of the ball, not only just on the receiving department but also in the rushing department, then now you're also making things more difficult for defenses to have to game plan. The one thing about it is what makes the Lions so great is because, for instance, they got two running backs that they can use in different coverages and different packages. You can use Devontae Smith. I mean, you can use Jahmyr Gibbs on pass catching abilities, not only just pass catching, but also run catching abilities. You can also do the same thing for David Montgomery. It's a lot of these teams who have not only good to substantial to serviceable running backs, as well as people who have a game plan and can implement them. We've seen two teams from the NFC with the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. Both of them have two capable backs who have packages that are designed to help benefit them. It kind of makes things easier for the defense to go ahead and take care of their business. It's the sad part is that it's not rocket sciences. It's not rocket science, but it's more or less on how are you being able to have an effective game plan. And if you don't have an effective game plan, you should not expect yourself to come out with a win.
Exactly, especially when you don't execute or you make stupid half-ass decisions, just like when DMAC and CJ and DG, who's also your co-host with Redshirt Podcast, and he broke down the film against Denver. It was like one of those plays. There was those specific plays when you call plays like that, for example, or try to get a little too cute, as we would say, you're not going to get a W. I mean, you can only do that, especially if you only have the right personnel out there, but also if you got the confidence that it's going to work, especially with the guys you got, especially if you're fitting them with the strength of what they can do or what they cannot do. I mean, that's what you always got to have. It's like that Kendrick Lamar song, Real, where he said you got to have a plan B, plan C, especially just in case plan A don't work out. And that was based off of situations that he went through in his lifetime. And you always got to consider those options because there's always going to be consequences with your decisions, whether it's good or it's going to be bad. And when it don't result in a win, especially as you were saying, that's what happens. So, all right, Kingdom. So we're going into the final segment here. And instead of doing the 3 keys to victory, I'm going to do something a little different with this segment. as we close for the night. With the season officially over after that Chargers loss and Mahomes injury, there's no point talking keys to beating the Titans this Sunday. If they do, cool. If they don't, well, just another game. That game doesn't matter. What matters is 2026. How Brett Veach and his front office build a roster that's ready the moment Mahomes steps back on the field, whenever that is. While Mahomes goes through his rehab, here are, to me, three of the most critical positions the Chiefs have to nail this offseason and in the draft. These ain't luxuries, these necessities if we want to be back to contending. Number one is a true designated pass rusher, number one. A guy who could be a speed edge type, the right side defensive end or off-ball rushing outside linebacker type. Everybody knows quarterback decides games on offense. Well, a blindside disruptor decides them on defense. Sacks, pressures, forced fumbles. That's premium currency. Most quarterbacks are right-handed, so the elite speed rushers line up on the left or sometimes the right if they want to go around, coming off the quarterback's blind side. Think prime J.J. Watt when he moved all over the defensive line. Think Myles Garrett, wrecking souls every Sunday. Think Micah Parsons. Yeah, he moves all over the field, but shout out to Micah Parsons, who also had an ACL injury as well, man. Wishing him back to a speedy recovery as well. But he's also one of the most dominant defensive players in football right now, especially when he's healthy. You have to have that guy. George Karl Loftus, Furious George. He's tough, high motor, sets the edge, but he's more your solid number two than your certified number one alpha. We need a game record who commands double teams and still gets home. Free agency might have some options, but this 2026 edge class, and I know that as part of Redshirt Podcast, you and DG talk about certain players or certain teams, especially going within the weeks. So which of those players from that position should we look at starting now?
If you're talking about the NFL draft, especially with the Chiefs at right now, we're at pick number 11 as of right now. It could change. It could fluctuate. You could go higher. You could go lower. Don't expect two on the lower companion. I don't see us dropping anywhere farther than we initially already are. Honestly, for me, I think that if you're using that a number 11 pick, it kind of just depends on where exactly you want it. Right now, I believe the Chiefs have 4. If we were to hurry up and get to the offseason, I think we have at least 4 on the contract. Ashton, Chris, George, and Omar Norman Lott. Right. Those 4 are your main ones that you're keeping. If you're wanting to continue to fluctuate and have that depth position kind of go through, I think that DN is probably going to be your number one spot. Not the first few that we're talking about here. For me, especially on my big board, I have number one, of course, it's got to be David Bailey. He's the edge rusher out of Texas Tech. Everybody knows that Texas Tech has been one of the newcomers. Not really a surpriser, but one of the teams that has really showed their inferior pass rush. So I would definitely say David Bailey's got to be number one. Number 2 for me has got to be Cassius Howe out of Texas A&M. Ironically, he's a kid. He's actually from Kansas City. I would definitely say he would probably be number 2 there. Kind of just taking a look at other things. I mean, this is kind of a bit. This draft class is kind of a bit balanced between running back and edge class because at one year it's running backs have more quality players. Previous years, edges have more. But I mean, now in this year, I mean, you kind of got a little bit of both. I definitely think that those two have to be your number 1 and number 2. Other guys that could potentially be there. I gotta take a look here. I actually have it pulled up. For me personally, when you're talking about a situation of where you're needing some edge guys, you're needing some guys who can kind of do things differently. You're looking at a guy like a Kendrick Falk from Auburn. You're looking at a guy like a maybe even a TJ Parker. But I mean, I think that me personally, a LT Overton for sure. If you want to keep it young. But you have some fluctuation, you have some positions to where you can go with it. But I think that number one has to be David Bailey because of the fact that this kid has speed. The one thing about it is that we say things about adjustment. One of the adjustments that needs to be done is honestly, there needs to be more speed rushers. We don't have enough speed rushers. The one thing that we were closest to having a speed rusher is Charles Omenihu, and we clearly know that Charles Omenihu was not the case this year. He did not do what we needed him to do, and and honestly, every defensive side of the ball needs to have at least one. You need to have one power. Me personally, I think that when you have a defense, you need one power and you need one speed. If you're going to call Georgia power, you're going to need some speed who can help counter it. And when you have a guy like Chris who's taking up double teams, and then you're also impacting Omar Numalai, I think the one thing that can really complement this defense is if you go get a guy like a David Bailey or you go get a guy like a Cassius Howell, these two guys you can implement them into the scheme, and then I'm pretty sure that they can win on their one-on-one matchups. Because a lot of the things is that when you're looking at some of these guys, it's not even you have to absolutely dominate. But you have to at least generate a lot of pressures. That way that you're either setting yourself up to where he's running into his offensive lineman and you're getting a sack, or you're also being kind of, I'm not going to say a backman, a Robin, but you're more or less setting yourself up to where you can get a sack or you can help somebody else get a sack.
Right.
So I would definitely say those two guys are definitely guys that we need to. I would definitely say the Chiefs are probably going to be taking a look at on the offensive side of the ball. Of course, everybody's going to say Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love, of course, St. Louis kid, running back out of Notre Dame. More likely, he's the guy that has been a class favorite. But as well as I would definitely say if you're going into a D-line perspective, you can go more into a Peter Woods. He is the D lineman out of Clemson. You got a guy like a Caleb Banks, Cade McDonald, and I think that those three guys are somebody, if you're going to use a first round pick, definitely use those on those guys. Or if, like I said, going back into it, if you wanted to have a running back, if you're going with a guy who is a running back, I would definitely say you can go get Jeremiah Love. That's the only running back, honestly, I would take in the first round. If you're wanting to use him on the later rounds, honestly, me personally, I'm not really a big fan of Jonah Coleman just because of his stature. So I would probably lean more towards an Emmett Johnson, the running back out of Nebraska. Me and DG and CJ were actually talking about it earlier today about what he might be able to bring to this offense. And if you're wanting to potentially fluctuate and think about the tight end position, maybe you say, hey, we don't know what the future Travis Kelce looks like. I would definitely say Kenyon Sadiq is, of course, number one. I've been trying to push out that narrative for a minute before we kind of even got to that position. I thought that I was like, for sure, I thought that Kenyon Sadiq would be a perfect fit in Kansas City. Or if you want to potentially go wide receiver, I think that the guy that you're probably going to be looking at this current point in time where you're at that pick, if you're one, it kind of depends on where you're going to be at. I don't think that Jordan Tyson or Carnell Tate is going to be there for us, but I think that you might be able to either trade back and if you're wanting to go get something and you're willing to pick up draft capital and you're ready to pick up more picks, you got to looking at a guy like a Denzel Boston, potentially a Casey Concepcion. It's a lot of different ways that you can look at this team. But me personally, if I had to go off of just like position of need and also BPA, my number one would be David Bailey. Number two would probably be Jeremiah Love. My number three would probably be Cassius Howell. My number four would probably be Kenya Sadiq.
I like that. I like that. And when you brought up Jeremiah Love and them, I was thinking you talked about my number two most important critical position going into the offseason. And either we get in the draft or especially build on the running back by committee. It doesn't matter. We got to get the guys who are willing to be dogs in the scheme, not just yes men. You know what I mean? So running back, a legit workhorse at least. The best teams in the league still pound the rock. Look at Baltimore with Derrick Henry, Philly with Saquon, the Colts with Jonathan Taylor, the Niners with McCaffrey when he's healthy. A powerful run game takes pressure off of your quarterback, controls the clock. It gives you the balance to beat elite defenses, especially that quarterback coming off a major knee surgery. Pacheco, he's done. He's done here. No offense. Thank you for what you've done, Isaiah. But
for sure,
it is what it is. Kareem, he fights his tail off, but I don't know about his future. And also, the production behind the line just isn't there, man. We need a dominant runner who can handle 20 touches a game and move the chains. The 2026 class, as you mentioned, the guys, they got some dogs, especially the Notre Dame backfield. You know, Jeremiah Love, he brings that electric burst and home run speed, while Jardarian Price is sudden, instinctive. He's versatile in the pass game. Either one could step in day one for us and give us the balance we've been missing all year, or for the last few years, just needing that type of running back. Because you remember when Mahomes met with Jamal Charles on the day he retired as a Chief, and he said, what? Man, I wish you and I would be on the same team. He already knew, man. And just imagine if we had that version of Jamal. And it's like, it don't have to be Jamal, but somebody. Or Damian Williams. 2019 playoff Damian Williams. You know, like we play in 2K, they give you versions of your favorite players. There's 80s version of Jordan. There's 90s version of Jordan. There's even Wizards version of Jordan. We want a player who's similar to either close to Jordan as he played his last season with the Bulls. He was still dominant. Or settle for the Wizards version. I don't know, but we need a guy who's just going to come in and be that dog for us. Yeah. Take the pressure off him at 15. And then last but not least, a defensive tackle, nose tackle hybrid lining next to Chris Jones, or both a defensive tackle, 3 technique guy, and a 0-1, 2 technique nose tackle. Yes, the league is pass happy, but every defensive coach still starts with one rule: stop the run. Interior guys who can blow up plays between the tackles and collapse the pocket are worth their weight in gold. Nose tackles are usually just run stuffers, but the elite ones are the ones who can also generate interior pressure and change games. Jordan Davis from the Eagles. That's one guy I like right there. Or we had Dontari Poe. Then you got Chris Jones eating doubles inside, but we need a true complement, a big body who clogs lanes, commands gaps, and can still push the pocket up the middle. This draft, you know, I think you got a few names out there. Which interior guys you like?
Like I said, Peter Woods has got to be the one person that probably sticks out on the board. It's probably unlikely that he might be there, but I mean, it's still worth a shot because, you know, anything can kind of change over time. I would definitely say Peter Woods, Caleb Banks. I know some people, if you're trying to work your way potentially outside of the first round, me, D-Mac, CJ, and DG, we all kind of agreed that Amari Washington will be a great fit here. because he's kind of the guy that you kind of wanted from Tavondre Sweat from a couple of years ago from Texas, a guy who could be a gap specialist. He can fill in through that A and B gap, and be able to also help alleviate time off of Omar Norman a lot. So I would definitely say like those few guys were the ones that probably stick out to the most to me. If you're wanting to do a guy, because I think some people do have LT Overton, not only just as an edge, but also as an interior lineman. You can also throw him out there because, I mean, the thing about it is when you got guys who can dominate their one-on-ones, it's pretty – the sky's the limit of where you could go with it. It's a lot of different situations, whether it be if you're already in a situation of if you want somebody to fluctuate inside, kind of like Ashton Gelati, probably somebody like an Omar Norman lot, you might want to go get a guy on the edge and then just fluctuate that guy on the inside, and then that can help alleviate time off of there. Kind of like where I'm seeing it right now, R. Mason Thomas out of Oklahoma. He's a guy that can potentially be a difference maker for this team. It's just kind of dependent on where Andy and where Spags really wants to see this defense to be. But if anything, again, on these interior D linemen, I would definitely say Peter Wood's got to be number one. I would have to really just say that these few guys, Caleb, probably one or two. Those are the two guys that I think could definitely make a difference maker in this defensive line.
Oh yeah, all good athletic players, bro. Grab one in the first 3 rounds, like sliding them guys next to CJ and Sutton. Our run defense, pass rush is nasty again, while the edges stay clean for Carl Loftus and whoever that designated pass rusher is going to be, man. So those 3 positions, elite speed rusher, dominant guy, J.J. Watt type or Myles Garrett type, if we could find one, workhorse running back, and a disruptive defensive tackle hybrid next to Chris Jones. We'll redefine whether 2026 is a step back or a launch pad back to the top. Also, tight end, especially with what's going on with Kelsey and what he recently said on the New Heights podcast. There's also right tackle, especially just depending on what they do with Jawan Taylor or what goes on there. I mean, Issa Pole is going to definitely stay, especially as our backup left tackle. We also got Jalen Moore for 1 more year, and then hopefully Josh Simmons comes back healthy. This hurts right now, Keenum, but, first playoff miss in a decade. Mahomes is facing rehab. We've got the greatest quarterback on earth, a Hall of Fame coach in the front office that knows how to rebuild on the fly. Pat will come back hungrier than ever. When he does, this roster better be built to win it all again. That's almost all I'm going to say on that. So anyway, let's get to our sponsors. And all right, Keenan, before we get up out of here, let's talk about something that's going to make everything count, especially this Christmas holiday. In a rebuild year, a lot more fun. This episode is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, the easiest, most exciting place to play fantasy pick'em and get paid. Right now, Underdog is hooked up Kingdom Cast with this offer, especially as you see at the bottom of your screen there. Use the promo code Kingdom Cast and just deposit $5 and play it on any pick'em entry. And you should be able to get back about $75 in bonus cash instantly. No strings, no waiting, just straight bonuses to build your bankroll. I mean, in about 2 hours, you got the Joshua and Jake Paul fight coming up, so you never know what's going to happen in that game. In that matchup, my pick will be, to hedge it over 2.5 rounds, maybe 3.5, probably go to 5 or over 5. You never know. What you got going on with a pick?
I would definitely say, for the fight, honestly, I think that's going to go to the distance. Usually things like this, these type of fights, they usually go the distance. So I would definitely say those are probably my biggest ones. Um, Honestly, there's a lot of other games going on, a lot of other things going on tomorrow. You got 3 college football playoff games, which I'm pretty sure Underdog is doing a great job with that. About um, with you got Miami versus Texas A&M at 11 o'clock in the morning. Then you're going to and you're having Tulane and Ole Miss at 2:30. Then you're wrapping up the night game with JMU versus Oregon. But I mean, honestly, you got a lot of different opportunities to make your money back or make some more extra money for the holiday season. And I'm glad that Underdog has that opportunity of being able to bless us with even more bonus bets and even more bonus money because I mean it's the holiday season. People are short on money, of course, each and every year. So why not Underdog helping us out?
Why not? So all you got to do is just sign up at Underdog Fantasy or download the Underdog app. Use Kingdom Cast as the promo code. That's KINGDOMKAST, and that bonus is yours. And just like that, thank you, Tre, for coming on the show tonight. And
Always, man.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Last time we did this, man, I was having trouble. Second episode.
You did better.
Yeah, man. So I'm happy that it all went well. But all I can just say on this, everybody, especially with this, how everybody wants to ask about this, we got this situation with Mahomes, but people keep bringing up Tom Brady, right? Tore his ACL 2008, came back through 4,000 yards in 2009. Sounds inspiring, but dig deeper. Brady got hurt week 1, not week 15 like Pat. Patriots had a full offseason to adjust. They still went from 16-0 Super Bowl contenders to 11-5 with Matt Castle. And now in the wild card next year when Brady returned, 10-6 division title, but one and done in the playoffs. For the Patriots dynasty, that was a down year. Now look at us. Mahomes goes down with 3 games left. Playoffs already slipping away. Roster already thin at key spots. We're not just missing the postseason this year. We're starting a 2026 where Pat might not be 100 until maybe October. Maybe he'll be ready week 1. Where the offensive line still needs some fix, especially on the right tackle position. Also, please don't bring back Mike Caliendo. Please don't. The weapons need at least a few upgrading, whether it's offense or defense, but we'll make some decisions there. This isn't a minor speed bump. This feels like the end of the dynasty window as we know it and the start of an actual rebuild. We'll get Mahomes back. But personally, for me, I don't think the dynasty is over, but we have to get back to being a dynasty by winning consecutively, like what the Patriots did and like what we did in the past, because we created one of the greatest runs in NFL history. And I'm glad that we were part of that, especially what we do. And for that, all I can say is 2026 might not be Super Bowl or bust. It just might be survive and advance and just learn a lesson.
For sure.
Yeah. That's it for tonight. We'll be back. And Chiefs Kingdom, enjoy the game Sunday if you're watching. And also have a happy holiday. Stay safe. Be smart. And hey, go Chiefs and Mahomes. Get back soon, baby. And Kelsey, whatever happens, it is what it is. So thank you.